The Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by former guest of the show and Matt Landowski and Sweet Hand Sports. Our mission at Sweet Hand Sports is to gear you up for greatness. With our top tier gloves, you are set to grip, win, and dominate. Grip your victory and leave your mark on the game. Sweet Hand Sports brings you batting gloves and now golf gloves that are designed to be durable and breathable. Go to sweethandsports.com, use the promo code BONO10 and save yourself 10%. Grip your victory at Sweet Hand Sports. Once again, sweethandsports.com, promo code BONO10 to save yourself 10%. The Ride Home Rants podcast is also brought to you by Buddy's Beard Care. Buddy's Beard Care provides premium men's grooming product at an affordable price. Products are made in Ohio, and Buddy's Beard Care supports local. The majority of their suppliers are from other Ohio-based companies. You can find them on social media at Buddy's Beard Care or online at buddysbeardcare.com. He has sent me a complimentary bottle of their beard balm. My beard has never felt softer. It has never been more tamed and has never grown faster or looked healthier. I've been using these products for a little while now, and I love every minute of it. Once again, buddysbeardcare.com. Use the promo code Mike Bono and save yourself 15%. Next, we are brought to you by Tactical Brotherhood. The Tactical Brotherhood is a movement to support America. We believe that there is a gap in focus when it comes to companies that support America. We want to be the front lines of supporting Americans and are determined to find something worth being proud of in every aspect of our military, starting with the men and women who serve and protect us. Our mission is simple: to unite like-minded individuals by celebrating what makes each one of us unique Americans. You don't have to be a veteran to join us. You just have to love America. Go to tacticalbrotherhood.com, use the promo code Mike Bono, and save yourself 10%. Once again, the tacticalbrotherhood.com, promo code Mike Bono, save yourself 10%. Next, we are brought to you by Deemed Fit, a clothing company brought to you by first responders for first responders. They are a clothing apparel company that helps those who have worked through the COVID-19 pandemic and also for all the first responders with their mental and physical health. Deemed Fit donates 100% of their net profits from the Never Forget collection sales to the Tunnel of Towers Foundation to support those from 9/11. Once again, go to deemedfit.com. Check out all of their great products. All of them have great messages. They fit and look great. Use the promo code Mike Bono and save yourself 10%. By supporting Deemed Fit through your own purchase, gifts bought for your friends, family, and colleagues, or by becoming one of our brand ambassadors, you become part of the Deemed Fit family. Don't miss out on this great way to help and support everyone who has helped and supported our country. Deemedfit.co, promo code Mike Bono, and save yourself 10%. Next, we have Shankit Golf. Shankit Golf is golf apparel made for the everyday golfer. We're not going to go out and shoot a 6 under par. We're probably going to shoot a 6 over par, but we are going to give you the gear to help you rock it on and off of the course. Our goal here at Shankit Golf is for everyone to have a great time on and off of the course, and we're going to help you look great while doing it. Go to shankitgolf.com, use the promo code Mike Bono, and save yourself 10%. Once again, shankitgolf.com, promo code Mike Bono, and save yourself 10%. Lastly, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Web Western. Web Western is for those who roll up their sleeves and do what it takes to get the job done. The arrow serves as a constant reminder to be a straight shooter, no excuses, no bullshit, just honest hard work. It's a brand that reflects the passion within us to lend a hand when it is needed, fight to protect our God-given rights, and live life like there is no tomorrow. Be a straight shooter. Now, let's start the show.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Ride Home Rants podcast. This is your special guest host, Fitty, filling in today on the ones and twos as we bring you the 2026 Final Four preview. It's another episode here on Ride Home Rants. It's one that we love doing over the past few years. We're bringing back the guys from the past and a large roundtable of continuance to talk about this great Final Four, which will be held this Saturday, the day before Easter. Easter weekend, bringing it home with the Final Four and the championship game on Easter Monday. Before we dive into the guests and letting them introduce themselves, make sure you peep all of our sponsors in the pre-roll and definitely check out the post-roll for a little bit more information about how to get involved with Ride Home Rants. Also, make sure you're peeping all of our guests from the past 6 seasons. We're in the middle of season 6. It's unbelievable, approaching 300 episodes here between Mike and I being on, between the individual guests and all the roundtables. So definitely check all of that out. But let's check out today's episode of the podcast as we talk about all things Final Four with Illinois versus UConn and Arizona versus Michigan as we break it down with a great panel of guests. So, guys, we're going to go around the horn here. You're going to introduce yourself. You're going to say your name, if you wear glasses, and which fast food restaurant has the best French fries. Let's start off with the newest dad of the group. And this man was once voted Mr. Eureka Football 5 years in a row, but only played 4 years of football there. Ryan?
Thanks for that intro, Fitty. Yeah, Ryan Barth. I do not wear glasses, and I would say the best French fries at a fast food restaurant. I'm actually going with Burger King. I enjoy their fries.
Okay. The next guy I'm going to introduce once was said to be the next host of Sunday NFL Countdown. He was supposed to replace Chris Berman, especially after he retired, but he was so humble about it, he declined. Tony? Maybe coming off mute here in a minute.
Hey, everyone. My name's Tony. This is a lie. I actually don't wear glasses. I'm kidding. I do. I do wear glasses and the best French fries, even though I had Arby's a couple hours ago. I'm going to go with McDonald's.
Okay. The next guy, he was voted the best Pittsburgh Steeler to never actually play for the Pittsburgh Steelers. AJ.
Fitty, I thought I'd play for the Steelers by now, right? Have a pension
Right.
and everything. Yeah. No, I'm AJ Saunders, man, and I do not wear glasses. I do wear sunglasses, though. And my best French fries will be the waffle fries, man, at Chick-fil-A.
Okay.
Got to go with that.
Solid pick right there. The next guy was once voted best beard in all of Cleveland 8 years in a row, but only lived in Cleveland 6 years. Duncan.
That's a wild one. Duncan Williams. I do not wear glasses, although I'm getting old enough to where I think I probably should. And best fries, Underdog Canes. I actually don't like them. Just get extra sauce and it all tastes the same.
Okay. The next guy, it was once said John Madden and Pat Summerall called him for advice about how to talk about play-by-play and color commentary for football games. Bob.
Thank you. Bob Cavalier here. I do wear glasses, also contacts. So when I'm lazy, not lazy, I put my contacts in. But I got to say Chick-fil-A, the waffle fries.
Chick-fil-A popular picks here. The next guy, his nickname was once given to him by legendary Fighting Illini football player from the University of Illinois, Juice Williams. Luke.
I do wear glasses. I'm gonna go with Chick-fil-A fries with the cane sauce.
Okay. This next guy needs no introduction. He's the proud dad of Luke and his 2 sisters. If you look up the word goat in the dictionary, he is next to it. Mike.
Mike Worrell here out in Illinois, not too far from Coach Barth, a little south of him. I wear contacts, and if the lighting is not good, I wear reading glasses. But when I go to bed, I take my contacts out and I watch TV and games in bed with regular glasses. So I wear all of them. And I'm going to go with more of a Midwest out here, Illinois, Indiana, Missouri, restaurant French fries, Steak and Shake.
Wow. How about that? Haven't had Steak and Shake in years. And the last guy needs no introduction. He was voted Mr. Ireland 7 years in a row in Italy, and he's never been to Italy. No, he's only been to Italy once and never been to Ireland. Drew.
What's up, guys? Drew McLaughlin here. I do not wear glasses, even though I think I should start here soon. And I'm going with McDonald's fries and cane sauce.
Wow. How about that? I do not wear glasses. Everybody knows me. This is Fitty. And I would say probably the best French fries, man, Mr. Hero's waffle fries with the cheese. Excellent. Excellent. I see Duncan nodding his head. He knows about it, man. McDonald's, very close second. We're not here to talk about French fries, although that could be a great episode, talk about all the fast food French fries out there, man. We're here to talk about two great games and a national championship right after that. Illinois versus UConn, Arizona versus Michigan, 2026 Final Four. Here we go. Guys, we're going to start with you on this one, Ryan. This is for everyone. I'm going to list some names and we're going to dive into the question. Coach K, Bobby Knight, Rick Pitino, Jay Wright, Dean Smith, Roy Williams, Adolph Rupp, John Wooden, Billy Donovan, Jim Calhoun, Bill Self, Tom Izzo. Why is Danny Hurley better than those guys?
Is that a question or a statement?
That's the question. Why is Danny Hurley better than those guys? The reason is people say he's a top 10 coach ever. Does he have an argument to be better than any of those guys?
It's a great intro to that. I mean, I can understand where you would say he would be in the top 10. You don't got to put him in the top 5 even, but with what he's done in the recent history of winning championships, you can't argue that. Me personally, all the antics and extra stuff that comes with him, I think it's extra and a little unnecessary, but that's his style. And if you're going to argue winning, I don't know how you argue his passion either for coaching basketball. So yeah, I would say he's in the top 10, but with all those coaches, I mean, when you put championships next to their names, I don't know if that's how you judge a coach's successful journey, but if that's how you're going to judge it, then you would have to say he's going to be in the top 10.
Okay. Tony, why, according to everyone, is Bobby Hurley a top 10 coach over some of those guys?
Maybe I would probably say he's younger than a lot of those guys. He has shown a lot of passion and fire. Would I say he's better than a Coach K, a Bobby Knight? No. But if he continues to stay at UConn and continues to rack up wins and championships, he can ascend up that ladder. Like some of those coaches that are on that list, I never got to see any games where they were coaching, but I did see games where Coach K, Roy Williams, and a lot of the aforementioned names, Bill Self, Jay Wright, etc., were coaching. But I believe Hurley is on his way.
Okay. AJ, for you on this, is Danny Hurley a top 10 coach of all time? I listed a lot of guys with a lot of championships and a lot of wins. Is Danny Hurley top 10 over a lot of those guys?
I think he's in the conversation. To say he's top 10 right now, I don't know. If he wins this year championship-wise, I think he might even be top 5, to be honest, because of the fashion. A lot of people look at it as what you did now as a coach. You know, I'm a coach. I coach football, and if you're not winning now, Dan Hurley's winning now, and that's what matters. So I'd say if he wins this one, because that game the other night was crazy. If he wins this one, he's in the conversation for sure. Yeah.
Duncan, you're a long-time basketball coach. You're a former college basketball star. Duncan, and you've heard me go on the Hurley rants before. Why is Hurley considered top 10 over some of those guys?
I think a lot of people probably in this chat might give some type of answer that says probably why I wouldn't. I guess I'll try to go the other way, even though I don't even know what my actual answer would be. The college basketball climate has changed in the last 5-ish years, more in the last 5-ish years, as far as like recruiting and what a coach does overall and everything you do, as far as you're allowed to transfer up, down, left, right every year, as far as now all of a sudden you have to pay kids and now you have to talk to their agents just as much as you have to coach. You're much, much more of a public GM or a CEO than you are just an X and O coach. A lot of the guys on that list obviously dealt with things that made them a GM, but in today's world, you definitely are a CEO or a GM. But when Hurley got into coaching, it was more of the basics of the college coaching, the recruiting, the X's and O's. and he definitely won that way. And then it morphed obviously into what it is today. And he won in the middle ground of going from high school to going to low D1 and then going low D1 to, or, mid-major, whatever you want to call it, to high D1. And he's won at every level. The conversation might be a little different, possibly, if they don't hit a 30-footer a day or two ago at a buzzer, but no one's ever going to doubt the guy's success. So I like the fact that he's done it at 3 different levels that are drastically different. He's done it in 2 different markets and 3 different markets from 10 years ago to today that's been unbelievably different, and has won at all of them, where a lot of guys on that list, where when it changed 5, 6, 10 years ago to a different way that it is now, a lot of them got out of it because of that. And he's found a way to be highly successful in all of it.
Okay. Good point on that. Bob, I want to go to you on this. And Bob, you're just a little bit older than some of the guys on here, and you've seen a lot of these guys, and you've seen like Coach Bobby Knight in his heyday.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And you've seen guys like, Tom Izzo really in his 26 years there, and you've seen, Billy Donovan over his great tenure there. Can you really put Danny Hurley in the same conversation with some of these guys and say he's top 10?
I don't think not yet. I think we got to give him a couple more years here. I think, like you said, I think the other game yesterday was more bad coaching on Duke's part than more of good coaching on Connecticut. I think a couple of things Duke could have did to kind of pull that game away. So, but to get them there, it's a great thing. But I think we got to give them a couple more years to see what happens. And then we could probably put him in that echelon. But right now, I agree. The coaching, the basketball has changed with, paying players and getting transfers easily and stuff like that. And to me, it's easier to do that with basketball. You get like 2 or 3 good guys. Football is a little harder to do because you got to build a team. But with basketball, you get like 2 guys that can play. You could probably be content right away if you get a couple of good transfers in. So, but I think a couple more years, if he wins one or 2 more, you got to put him up there in an echelon.
Okay. Luke, you're an up-and-coming coach, right? You've learned a lot of basketball from your dad, who's coached a lot of basketball over time. Luke, in your opinion, I know you're probably one of the youngest guys here, if not the youngest. Is Danny Hurley a top 10 coach of all time?
If he wins this, I'd put him on Mount Rushmore, I think. But that's 3 out of 4 years. I also said if Pitino went to the Final Four, he's on my Mount Rushmore with like Coach K and Wooden. I don't know who the other 2 are, but I mean they went back to back in like the biggest. I don't think there was a close game when they went back to back. And if he can somehow beat Arizona or Michigan, I would put him on Mount Rushmore because I think those 2 have better teams than him. So he's inching closer just in his prime right now.
Okay. Mike, the basketball, genius on this show, the man who's coached over 400 games, the only man to have the slam dunk national champion and have a Division III team beat a Division I team. Mike, is Hurley a top 10 coach of all time? Is he better than Bobby Knight, the general?
You listed a lot of coaches on that list, probably about 15 if I didn't keep track, but those guys won a lot of games and a lot of championships. Hurley's as good as any of them. I don't know about putting him ahead of them or on your list or not. And we have this argument all the time, Fitty, almost every podcast we do, how fate comes in a lot of these games where teams are even in these huge games. And I'm asking you now, if you didn't think fate came into that win they had yesterday, then true coaches will say he outcoached them. That's how they won. But I say fate had a lot to do with that. But I say Hurley's as good as anybody. And then I'm also going to say he has a pretty good job, in my opinion. That they won before he got there big. A couple
Absolutely.
won big.
Absolutely. Kevin Ollie and Jim Calhoun built that place.
Some jobs you go to, they've never won. And that coach, to me, is remarkable if you make that team into a winner. I'm not taking anything away from him, but this job he has a lot of tradition of winning big. So I don't know if I really answered your question, but I say he's as good as anybody.
No, it definitely answered that. And if anyone's going to say this, it would be Mike, right? Because when the Pacers made the NBA Finals last year, They were saying Rick Carlisle is one of the greatest coaches in the NBA. He's one of the greatest coaches in the NBA. The Pacers now have 17 wins. How great was Rick Carlisle? It's the same thing with Danny Hurley, right? If Duke doesn't really lose that game, we're talking about Danny Hurley being a bust here because he couldn't get back to the Final Four. So you're going to talk about being fate, great, or whatever's in between. Think about that. Everybody thought Rick Carlisle was the best coach in the NBA last year. He won 18 games this year. So how great is coaching compared to actually having the players and the magic and the fate to do it? Drew, round us out on this one. Is Danny Hurley a top 10 coach of all time?
Yeah, I agree with most of the consensus here. I think it's, a short sample size of what he's done at Connecticut. Obviously, 3 out of the 4 years in the Final Four is very impressive. Let's see if he can do it. See how the next 10 years go for him. All those guys you listed have had longevity of success. If he keeps doing what he's doing and it started really great, he's definitely going to be a top 10 guy for sure.
Okay. Talk about starting great. It's also been 50 years since the last undefeated NCAA national championship team, 1976. The great and late Bob Knight started his career with an undefeated national championship, won 5 years later, and then won again 7 years after that. The general. There's no one like him. All right, guys, next one. This is for Duncan, Mike, and Luke only. Duncan, we're going to start with you. Which one of these teams surprised you the most by being here in the Final Four?
Oof. You almost, it's crazy. You almost wanted to say UConn just because they weren't a number one seed, but Danny Hurley's got some gusto, so they're going to have a lot of guts to them, and so it's not overly surprising. But I think most people are probably going to say Illinois, even though major university, major money, major scholarships, they're not exactly hurting in any aspect. I do love the story of being a head coach and not even getting your first head coaching job until you're almost 50 years old. And then within 3 or 4 years, making your way up from a lower Division I to a high D1, and then a couple years later, making yourself to a Final Four. I mean, if anybody doesn't like that story, the guy was an assistant for like 25 or 28 years before he got his first head coaching gig. So who doesn't love that story? So good for them. I'll say Illinois, biggest Cinderella story of the Final Four, if there is one.
Okay. All right. Mike, who's the most surprising team to be here out of the 4 teams?
I'm not surprised at any. I thought, at the right break and if things go your way, 15 or 20 teams could have got there. But I'll have to say UConn again, I guess, on only base because they got whipped by St. John's pretty good in the conference tournament. But other than that, I'm not surprised by the other 3 and not surprised. Well, fate, when they came into it, they wouldn't have been there anyway. It'd been Duke. And so I'm not really surprised really of any of the 4.
Okay. Luke, round us out on this one.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna go with UConn. Illinois was a 3 seed. They got really good players. They got really good players. UConn beat the 1 seed. I'm gonna go with UConn on that buzzer beater. Arizona and Michigan, I think, have been the best 2 teams all year, but for them to beat Duke, I'm gonna have to go with Danny Hurley.
Okay. Just throwing this out there, big Hawaii fan here. Would have loved to see Hawaii in the Final Four. Never would have happened, but it would have been a great experience for me as the only Hawaii fan for football and basketball in the state of Ohio and probably the entire Midwest. I did watch the game, though. If Hawaii doesn't start 0 for 11 shooting the basketball, they might have had a chance against John Calipari in Arkansas. But you know what, Mike? Fate happened, and Hawaii just got manhandled. So it wasn't in the cards.
They had a great year.
Next one, Ryan, Tony, AJ, Bob, Drew. Ryan, we're going to start with you on this. Which one of these teams is more prepared to come back to the Final Four next year?
You want me to go, Fitty?
Yeah, go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah. That's tough because you just retention of your roster and obviously the turnover of your roster and today's landscape, but that was already touched on in the episode. As an Illinois fan, Fitty, that's who you're going to see back in the Final Four next year.
Okay. Barth, how old were you the last time Illinois was in the Final Four?
8. And
Okay.
I watched the game. I watched it and I cried that night, but we're back.
You know what?
Strong
It's
day.
nothing like waiting 25 years for the comeback.
20, but I'm 21. I'm glad your math's there.
You know, it's close. It's close. We're gonna add that in, make it 25 years. It sounds a lot more rewarding when you say 25 years.
All right, I'll give you that.
All right.
I'm a Cubs fan. I know all about droughts, all right?
Yeah, there we go. There we go. What about you, Tony? Who's more built to come back to this next year out of these 4 teams?
It pains me to say this as someone who lives in Ohio. I say Michigan. They had a really good year this year, just like Arizona, but I believe Cole Pete's gonna go. He's gonna go to the league in this year's draft. UConn will probably be a close second if they keep a majority of their players. I can't say I know too much about Illinois. I'm sorry. But I gotta say, Michigan's the best bet.
Okay. AJ, what's your say on this?
Yeah, I was going to agree with the Michigan too. I'm pretty sure it might be the youngest group. I don't even know if how many seniors do they have? Maybe 3, 4, maybe like 3 juniors as well. They have a lot of freshmen. I don't know who pays the most money. We'll see what that happens. We'll see what the NCAA comes up with next. We don't know. So, but I'm going to say Michigan, man. They play Arizona. I think whoever wins out of that one might take it. You know. But it's March Madness, so we throw up threes and we make them at the end of the game. So
Don't get too far ahead of yourself, man. We got our predictions coming up here. Don't get too excited.
I'm just saying, Michigan's tough, man. Michigan's tough.
Curb your enthusiasm. There you go,
All right,
Mike Worrell.
Yeah.
There you go, Mike
I'll
Worrell.
lean back after that one. I'll lean back.
Bob, who has the best chance of coming back here next year?
I think it's Connecticut. I think they're a year ahead of schedule. If you talk to Hurley, I think this team he thought they was going to have a decent team this year, but I don't think he expected them to go this far. So I think Connecticut, with a lot of those guys coming back next year again, I think they're going to be the team that is going to be in contention again.
Okay. Drew, round us out on this, man.
AJ stole the words out of my mouth. Who has the most money to spend? You go based off tradition. Yeah, Michigan, they weren't there last year. UConn's like we've been talking about 3 of the past 4 years. They built some consistency, and that's kind of their standard now. So you just gotta abide by that. And I'm gonna say UConn.
Okay. All right, guys. Now, AJ, when it comes back to you, you can give your prediction for this. Guys, who wins both these games and who is the national champion come Easter Monday? Let's start with Drew on this. We'll work backwards. Drew?
Well, I tell you what, I think that the championship's going to be Michigan, Arizona. That's going to be a hell of a basketball game. I'm going to say Arizona by 2 in that game. I'm sorry to my Illinois people in here, and I'm also a Big Ten guy, so I always go for that. But I just think UConn's riding on some kind of high right now where they're just going to blow Illinois out of the water. You're going to have an Arizona-UConn championship. And let's have another half-court winner for UConn. Why not?
And fate brings it to Mike Worrell to answer this next. Mike, is fate in the cards for UConn to win another national championship, for people to say Bobby Hurley is better than Bob Knight? Is that happening? What's your prediction?
Can you hear me or am I on mute?
No, we can hear you.
You're good. Okay. I got to be honest. I haven't followed the semi-pro Division I NCAA basketball as much this year as usual, like I have in the past. But I agree with both games Saturday to be both barn burners down to the wire. With UConn, I think they beat Illinois. Coach Barth would know this. The last couple times they've met, I'm gonna go with UConn in a close one, and then Michigan somehow flip a coin. I'll take Michigan and at the wire over Arizona, and then Michigan, UConn to surprisingly give them a good game, but Michigan to prevail.
Okay. Luke, you following up your dad on that one?
I think Vegas has Illini with the spread in Michigan, with the spread, they're both close, maybe less than 3 or 4, but I'm gonna go with the dogs to win, and I think Arizona to beat UConn by a decent margin in the championship.
Okay. All right. Bob, what do you got here?
So I got Michigan winning it all in one of my brackets, so I'm going to stick with that. I do agree with someone said Michigan, Arizona, I think it's going to be the championship game myself. I think those are the two better teams out of all the four. And so I got Michigan and UConn with Michigan winning it.
Okay. Good call on that one. Oh gosh. Okay. My Siri just popped up on my phone. That was kind of weird. I'm just saying, oh gosh. Okay. Duncan, how about you next?
I think, like everyone, Michigan, Arizona is going to be the important one. That's going to be an absolute bloodbath. I think we're going to have some home cooking. Michigan doesn't have to go far to get to Indy. I think there's going to be a lot of fans there for them. I think the same thing will probably happen. Illinois, UConn. Illinois doesn't have to go too far to get over to Indy. I think it's going to be a little bit of a home game. So those two teams will win it out. I think Michigan's going to roll the Illini in the championship.
Okay. And when you think about this too, this Arizona Michigan game, like a lot of nostalgia there, right? Like for us older fans, like you think the Fab Five, you think Lute Olson from Arizona. A lot of history right there between these two teams. Definitely probably the better of the two games. AJ, what's your prediction now? You really jumped the gun with the last one, AJ. So we gotta find out what's going on in your mind now for this one.
Thank you. Since my last statement, so I really want Michigan to win. I don't even remember the last time they won a natty. It's been a minute, right? Does anybody know?
They forfeited their Final Fours before because they ineligible players.
Yeah, so they need to win this. So I'm going to take them over Arizona just because I have them in my bracket as well, like Bob said. But this UConn and Illinois game, if you're looking for an upset, Illinois can do it, but I don't know if they have enough, especially with Hurley coaching like he is. I think I'm going to take UConn over that, and then Michigan's winning it all. So that's my take right there.
Okay.
Michigan all day.
Hot take, Tony. What do you have going on with this prediction here?
I said Illinois and UConn is going to be a toss-up, in my opinion. I could see it going down to overtime. I could see Illinois pulling down overtime. Michigan, Arizona is the default national championship game, in my opinion. I think Arizona wins a close one, and then Arizona gets their revenge from 2005 because Illinois came from behind 15 or so points late in that regional final.
One of the
Arizona
greatest
gets
games in tournament history.
Yep. And Arizona will get the first national championship for a team west of the Mississippi since they last did it 29 years ago.
Okay.
And I'm not saying this because I have Arizona winning it all. I'm totally not saying that because of that.
All right, Ryan, round us out on this, man.
Yeah. Obviously, as an Illinois fan, it's hard for me not to just say that they're going to win it. But I do, in my bracket, and honest to God, I never do it because Illinois' season, watching a majority of it, first point, I don't know how they're favored against UConn right off the bat. Players. We have good players. We played them earlier this season. Granted, it was in November or December, one of the two, and they beat us by 15. But there were some guys playing for Illinois then that aren't playing now, and for good reason. But it's going to be great basketball this weekend. I know that. My heart says Illinois is going to win, but with Coach Mike Worrell talking about fate and how they won the game yesterday, it's hard to see them. And they had a horrible shooting night as well. So to put that fact in there, they were like 4 of 18, and I was watching the game with my dad yesterday, and I looked at him, I said, they're going to come back and win this game, and then they're going to come out and be 12 of 18 shooting 3 on the game against the Illini. Back in 2024, UConn went on a 30-0 run, and I watched the entire thing happen right in front of my eyes, and it was like I wish somebody would just gouge my eyes out instead of having to see that. But with all that being said, Illinois gets it done. We're going to the national championship. And then on top of that, Arizona comes back. And I think they get their revenge from that game back in 2005 when we came back from down 15 with 3 minutes to go. And I just think that Mike talking about fate, that's what happens. And I hate to say it. My heart obviously wants Illinois to win, but seeing it play out, that's how I see it.
All right. Now, maybe we'll see, if it's Illinois and Arizona, maybe we'll see the ghost of Juice Williams from the Fighting Illini football team.
We're going to need
we'll
him.
see him there. And then maybe we'll see the great Luke Walton, the great Bill Walton's son, Luke Walton, former Arizona Wildcat. Maybe we'll see them at the games playing each other, cheering on their favorite teams. I don't know. Time will tell. Guys, I'm curious about this one. The games are Saturday evening at 6:09 and 8:49 p.m. We have some media guys on here and coaches. We also have people in different time zones, and this is being played in the central time zone compared to some of us being on the East Coast. So, Ryan, I'm going to start with you, your central time zone. Do you like these games on Saturday? Should they be played Friday? Should they be played on Easter earlier in the day? What are your thoughts about a 6:09 and 8:49 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tip-off?
That's prime time, isn't it, Fitty? I mean,
depends on whose prime time you're talking about.
That's my prime time. I lived on the East Coast for a couple years when I was in West Virginia with you, and I had to deal with all the time changes and then even trying to remind myself that I got to be on here at 7 instead of your 8, and you just don't tell me that or remind me we're on Eastern time. So that's why I log in at 6:59. But no, I enjoy the times as, I guess, selfishly being living in the Midwest and seeing it on those times. And now having a newborn, I guess, trying to maneuver that, how we're going to have to get feeding time at a certain time, I guess. But anyways, yeah, I enjoy it selfishly.
Okay. Tony, media guy here. I want to hear your opinion on this.
I'm gonna have to agree with Ryan here. I like it's like a perfect time to have the game. You have the game at 6 o'clock and a game at nearly 9 o'clock on a Saturday. Monday, I think that the national championship should be at 8:30 or possibly like 15 minutes after 8. Because there were times when I was younger that I never got to stay up and watch the end of the tournament. I've been an adult for almost 20 years, almost over for 15 years now. So I've gotten to see the end of every game. I like the times as they are for Saturdays, but Monday I feel like they could move it up to 8:15, at least for us East Coast folk. But I know the West Coast people are gonna be like, "Oh, it's gonna start at 5 o'clock. We're gonna have to get off work and sit in traffic." Well, it's 3 hour difference. Somebody benefits, somebody does not, and it is what it is.
Okay. AJ, what's your thoughts on this?
I'm cool with the times on Saturday. I don't really have a problem with it. It's the Monday, man. Just move it to Friday or Saturday. Let all the guys have a chance to go out and not worry about going to work the next day. Can we just do that? Like, just dedicate, this is the championship day. Have it on Friday or Saturday. We can stay out late, right? Bring your wives if you want to. But Monday, man, I don't know. I've always had an issue with that. Because Tony, same thing. Like when you're young and you're trying to stay up and watch it, and you gotta go to school the next day. It's like, man, we're on Easter spring break and we gotta go back to school. Everyone hates that, but everything else is cool, man. It's 6:09 UConn versus Illinois, 6:09 p.m. That's perfect, and then 8:49 for Michigan and Arizona. That's pretty decent to me. You know?
Duncan, you've coached in a lot of big basketball games, during your time, and you've played in some too. What are your thoughts here, especially from the basketball coach and player perspective on these times?
Well, one, the players and coaches don't have any say. It's all TV rights. I mean, that's always going to come to that. As a fan, strictly as a fan, I'm going to agree with AJ and what everybody else is saying. I wish the games were, Friday night and then Sunday afternoon. That way you could probably do a little better scheduling and maybe enjoy them better instead of rushing on a Monday to try to figure it out. I mean, every college coach in the country is going to go to the Final Four and then probably leave before the championship and be working on Monday from being there all weekend. So, and then you're trying to watch it Monday night, and kind of is what it is. Fun fact, though, this year the Division II national championship is in between the Final Four games. So Division I plays Saturday at those times, and then they play again the championship on Monday. Division II has their national championship on Sunday in between them in the same town, not at Lucas Oil, but play at the Pacers Arena. So same town right across the road. Pretty cool. The D2's doing that. They do that every there's not really a date. In between 5 and 10 years, they'll play it with the Division Ones, and then all the other years they usually have a set site. This year they played the entire tournament down until the Final Four last week, which was in Pittsburgh. I went to the Elite Eight about 40 minutes from Pittsburgh. So I went to the Elite Eight rounds. The Final Four rounds was 2 days later, and then they're waiting a whole week and playing on Sunday. So kudos for that. I think that's pretty cool. All the D2 guys are going to play in front of a crowd that's got 15, 25, 30,000 people, who knows. But I do wish the D1 games were probably a Friday night, Sunday afternoon.
Okay. And also, fun fact for anybody looking to do it or watch anything on Easter that's not NHL, MLB, or also whatever random things will be on ESPN, the NIT championship is also Easter night as well. So you can watch Division II and the NIT. Bob, you're another media guy. What are your thoughts on these times?
I thought you were going to talk about some religious programming that was on Easter.
Well, that also will be on too, but tie a little sports in with Easter, so, and the springtime. So it'd be a good time.
Yeah, my proposal is we do the format Thursday, Saturday, do the 2 games on Thursday night. You can still stay out a little bit and then have the championship game on Saturday. And that way, these guys have been doing it the last couple of weeks here, playing Thursday, Saturday, so they get used to doing it. And so I think that'd be a good thing. 6 and then maybe a 6 and an 8:40 start or something like that would be good for the 2 games on Thursday, and then maybe 8 o'clock Saturday night, a championship game. I bet you a lot of bars would be full on a Saturday night.
Yeah, for sure. Good point on that. Luke, you're a basketball coach. You watch your dad coach a lot of games all over literally the world. What are your thoughts on this?
I don't have a problem with it. As a kid, I used to go to the games, and you're there about 5 or 6 hours. It's a little different at the games. I probably fell asleep 2, 3, 4 times. How long like the media timeouts are, like actually being there. But I think it's good from a fan perspective if you're watching on TV in a bar at home. Like, you have more time to get after it. And when Illini fans saying Sean May's sitting in the paint and they can just drink a little more after they lose a heartbreaker. That was the championship game though. But I mean money makes college basketball go around. These guys will be fine. I bet every starter in the games on Saturday are making close to 7 figures, and the coaches, so they'll be ready to play, and it'll be a good quality of basketball.
Okay. Mike, what are your thoughts on this?
Hey, Luke, is the Division III championship there Sunday as well?
Yeah, it is. So they have 2 weeks. D2 has 1 week. I don't know what you do for 2 weeks.
Is that back to back? The D3 and D3 2 game back to back Sunday there?
I think it's spaced out. Yeah, it's the same day. I think it equal.
Okay, speaking of the NIT, Fitty, I had a former player when I was at the College of Worcester as the head coach at Illinois State, Ryan Peden. So they're in the Final Four NIT, so I'm rooting for them. And growing up in Ohio, Eastern time zone all my life, and speaking of the time changes, like Monday Night Football, we were only allowed to stay up unless the Browns were on, late. It was 9 o'clock starts Eastern time. Then moving to Illinois Central time, like Coach Barr said, after being in Illinois Central time zone is great for watching sports at night. That hour time difference makes a huge difference.
Sure.
I realized that when I went back to West Virginia, back on Eastern time, and staying up late watching those games, that extra hour makes a huge difference. But I feel for all you East Coast time zone guys. I went through it my whole life till I moved to Illinois. But we're all sports fans. We're going to stay up late for the huge games. So that's my take on it.
Okay, Drew, round us out on this, man.
Yeah, I can't believe we live in a country that like 95% of the people love sports, and all our championship games are on Mondays. I just don't understand it. I'm gonna sign a petition and go to DC and say every national championship needs to be played on a Saturday, and we're gonna riot until they decide to do that because it's ridiculous. Saturday's fine, Monday's gonna suck. It is what it is.
And there's a hot take from the Mr. Irish himself, voted that 7 consecutive years being in Italy only once. So there you go. Drew McLaughlin, everyone. Next one, guys. Next one here. Only a couple guys are going to answer this. We're going to go with Tony, Bob, Mike, AJ, and Drew. And we'll start with you on this, Tony. With these Final Four games no longer being played in college basketball arenas, we're talking Division I here. What are your thoughts on this? Should the NCAA go back to playing these games in true college arenas, or do you like them being played in football stadiums? Tony?
I like them being played in football stadiums just simply for the atmosphere itself. And sometime down the line, Cleveland, I think, will eventually host the men's Final Four when they get their new stadium up and running. It just makes for a different atmosphere, especially if 95% of the time, unless you go play on a tanker overseas or you get to go play in the Bahamas or something, or play on a ballroom court or something, you're going to be playing in an arena 95% of the time. So I like it being at a stadium. Hopefully, it just stays at closed door football stadiums. Because imagine having a game and all of a sudden it starts raining. I know they'd probably close it if it did, but still.
Sure, that's valid. Bob, how about you on this?
I think as a fan and media, I don't mind it, but I'm sure as a player, sometimes it's hard. I've heard from players like that went to the Canton Civic Center and had trouble shooting because of the backdrop and stuff like that. So I think as a player, they probably don't like this because of the backdrop's a little different. But I'm sure as a fan, to get as many people in as you can would be a nice atmosphere to get the crowd in there to have a lot of people available to get that. But if you're a player standpoint, I'm sure it takes a little while to get used to the backdrop sometimes.
Okay. Mike, how about your thoughts on this?
I was at the last Final Four that was in an actual basketball arena in 1996. It was at the Meadowlands where the Nets played. It seated 18 or 19,000 maybe. I think Syracuse won it. So 75,000 spectators compared to 18,000. You just got to follow the money. 50 some more thousand people you can get in. That's the bottom line. They made a rule right about then. You had to seat 32 or 35,000. Basically, they're saying it's got to be a dome. That's when. So 96 was the last year it was in a regular basketball arena.
Mike Worrell dropping the knowledge, everyone. AJ, what are your thoughts on this?
I have mixed thoughts on it. I mean, the more money they can make, they're going to get a lot more people in the stadiums. I mean, it's been in Indianapolis, I'm sorry, for how long? But I would want to see it in a basketball arena where NBA play, like Madison Square Garden, somewhere like that. They probably had it there at one point, but I don't know. Like as a player, like when you're coming out and you're playing in an atmosphere like that, like how fast can you get warmed up in that? Like it's a little bit more open. Usually when you're in a basketball arena, it's a little bit more closed in. People are on top of you, just like if you're playing football. But in basketball, like I guess, there's so much around, so much space around, so much air in there. It's like, man, like I can't get comfortable. I can't get on a streak. That's from a player's perspective. But as a fan perspective, it's probably cool because the atmosphere is huge and you've never been there before. So, I mean, I would rather have it in a freaking basketball arena, man. You know what I mean? It's closer. You don't need that many guys or many fans in there to make it sound loud. They usually, I mean, 2020, they played freaking backdrop music. What the heck? I mean, I guess it's a money thing too.
Sure.
It really doesn't matter to me,
Okay. Drew, round us out on this.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool to be back in the basketball arena, like AJ said. If you played at Madison Square Garden or something along those lines, I think it'd be a cool aspect. But all in all, like everyone said, it comes down to money, and if you're going to fit 40 more thousand and they're going to pay 400 and $500 a seat. I mean, just do the math right there. So it always comes down to the bottom line. So it's always probably going to be at a football stadium.
Sure. Okay. Next one, we're going to go with Tony, Mike, Luke, Duncan, and Bob on this. And Tony, we're gonna start with you. How much coaching goes into these type of games with strategy and game planning? Is it more about the X's and O's, or this straight up just about the Jimmies and Joes? How much goes into this from a coaching standpoint? Tony, take it away.
I think it honestly just, if I'm a coach, I'm playing this game like I'd play against the 16 seed or 8 seed. You play to win the game, you strategize to win the game, you call timeouts when needed. And if you have to call timeout to stop a team from making a run, you do. You sometimes, or you let the team ride if they're keeping the momentum. Honestly, I say it's when you get to earlier rounds, it's Jimmy's and Joe's because sometimes you've got teams that you can easily beat by 30, 40 points. Then it becomes X's and O's when you're playing some of the better teams, the teams that can push you for 30, 35 minutes.
Okay. All right. Bob, let's go to you next on this one.
I think the Final Four is a little different. I think you prepare a little bit more. I think, you pick your certain plays that you like. And then, like I said, I think, too, it's all about getting kids hot. I think it's a lot of in-game, more adjustments. You get a kid hot, then you're going to go to him a little bit more, running some plays for him. So, but I think during the tournament, I think it's a little more of just going with what you have. And then this Final Four, I think they'll adjust a little bit, but I don't think too much. I mean, you're going to go with what you got here, and you're going to try to run with your horses and try to hope they come through for you.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of validity to that. Luke, how about you?
I mean, they have what, a week to prepare? I mean, they're gonna have the other team's actions and scout and all that down, what they're gonna try to do. They're gonna know what the other team's gonna try to do. So the strategy stuff is really important. I think all the players are pretty good. The talent's probably pretty even. It's probably gonna be the head coach and I guess some assistants too. The end game, I guess you can call it adjustments, but just like little wrinkles, what's working, what's not working. Some of these coaches with the media timeouts, they save their timeouts. And if that 6-0 run, 7-0 run turns into 12, then that could just lose in the game. So that's why I'd give the edge to some of these. Like, I mean, Hurley's been in a lot of these games. I mean, Dusty May's been in the Final Four. They're all good coaches, but the players are going to make plays at the end of the day, but the coaching's important, putting them in a good spot.
Okay. Mike, you have a better answer than your son on that one, Mike?
Not really. Just all 4 teams are great teams, and they're going to do what they do, what they've been doing all year. They might put in a special play or special out of bounds underplay, scheme against a certain player that they may try to defend a little differently. But other than that, they're going to play and do what they've done to get here. I mean, they all have really good players, and all these games are going to come down to the wire, and fate's going to be involved. Or, tough shot or a big play or a steal or something. Something happens at the end of these games.
Mike, I'm just curious on this before we go to Duncan to round this out. I don't want a Mike Worrell answer on this. I just want a legitimate answer. All right. Who was more intense as a coach? Bobby Knight or Danny Hurley?
That was a different era, Fitty.
No. Just who's more intense as a coach?
They're both intense in their own way.
Is Bobby Knight or Danny Hurley a more intense coach?
I'd say Bobby Knight.
Thank you. Somebody said it. Okay, that's all I wanted to know. Thank you, Bob.
I'll say the general.
Okay. All right, Duncan, round us out on this about the X's and O's and the Jimmies and Joes with these Final Four teams.
One, they got a little bit more time, right? They get a whole week, like Luke was saying. I mean, they're going to know certain teams are different. All 4 teams that are there probably all have a different strategy. Some coaches will change everything they're doing offensively or whatever. They're more worried about what they do rather than what the other team does. Some of these coaches are more worried about what the other team's doing rather than what their team is doing. I don't think anybody's changing their style. They just have a full week to prepare as opposed to from the round of 8 and 16, you got 2 days. From the round of 64 and 32, you got 2 days. I mean, not even really. So that second game, you have very little preparation, and that's more trial and error. But when you have a week, all of these guys are going full blow into whatever their style is. If they're changing all of their stuff and getting new offensive, new defensive schemes, they'll do it. If they're all worried about what the other team's doing it, they'll do that. I think the only strategy that I'd be interested to see is, because it's such a big arena, how willing most of these teams will say go under a lot of these screens to start, whether it be a down screen, ball screen, handoff, all of those, and see if the other team's going to make multiple jump shots first before they start saying, all right, now we're jump switching, or now we're going over every screen on a ball screen or a down screen to get to shooters, just to see if a lot of these guys make them first, and then they'll make adjustments during the game. I would be surprised if that wasn't the play, as opposed to if I'm just playing a road conference game at one of these schools' gyms where I already know it's a road game. I'm going in already making these guys not shoot it or whatever, because they're going to shoot better at home. That's the only probably difference I think might happen at this venue as opposed to maybe just a regular home or road game.
Okay. All right. Good answers to that one, guys. 2 questions left. This one is for AJ, Drew, Luke, Ryan, and Duncan. We're going to see what you guys have to say about this. Are these players who are playing in this one and done era and this transfer portal era, are they truly equipped to be relevant in the NBA when they turn pro, or is this era hurting them as professionals? AJ?
Hey, that's a good question. It depends on who the player is. You can tell if he's developed or not. Usually, guys that are NBA ready, they usually dominate the game. You could tell. It's not that hard. I mean, even when I coach football, I can see when you talk about PA, Western PA football, there's a guy named Keemon Spell who's a beast from a key sport. You can tell that he's college ready. He was college ready as a junior. When you look at wrestling, Jax Forrest, he just left high school and won the NCAA wrestling. They're just ready. And some guys that are playing in college sports, especially basketball, you could tell some of the 7-footers, if they're polished, they're just ready. Some are, some aren't. They think they are, but they're not Steph Curry, and they're not Kevin Garnett or LeBron James. But times has changed now, where the 3-pointers is what's driving it. So if you can shoot and you're good on a low block, they're going to be like, yeah, he's ready. He has an edge to him. He can get it done. So.
All right. And I'm going to bring this up and say this too. Think about this as you're answering this. Is this the reason that the top 8, potentially 10 best players in the NBA are all foreign, because of what's happened in college basketball? The Joker, Wemby, you can argue Joel Embiid, you can argue Luka. You can say when he's healthy, Sabonis. There's a lot of other guys, you could throw in there with the foreigners, at least the top 5, SGA. Is this basketball issue in college basketball rising the international players to be the best players in the entire world? Drew,
I could,
go
my
ahead,
bad,
AJ.
but I think the biggest thing too is AAU. I think there's a type of spin to AAU that doesn't develop players at a young age. It just, hey, you can shoot, go down and shoot, but you can't dribble. So you're just shooting now. When a complete player can do all things, you're not going to be able to do everything because there's 5 guys on the court. But I mean, if you can dribble and learn the fundamentals and be good at just doing the fundamentals, because that's what basketball is. It gets you to the next level. You can always get better. But there's a lot of guys that skip the fundamentals just because they can shoot. That doesn't make you a great basketball player, though. A lot of the Euro guys are complete players because they work on the fundamentals. They got great feet work. They're getting to the basket. They know how to do multiple things because they have the fundamentals down pat.
Okay.
So,
good point on that, AJ. Drew, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think AJ made a great point with it depends on a player. If you look like a LeBron James, that dude was ready to play in the NBA at 17. There's no doubt about it. You look like a Cooper Flag or a guy like that who's dominating right now, and just some guys are just ready for it, and then there's some guys that are not ready for it. And I think in this NIL era now, it's almost like if you stay, you might make a little more money. I don't know for sure. So maybe these one and done guys, maybe it'd be best interest to stay at the next year and learn under a good coach, and you're still making six figures. There's the money's gonna come. So I just think it depends on the player, but if they're ready, they're ready. There's no doubt about it.
Sure. Luke, what are your thoughts here?
I mean, there's the guys in the lottery draft. The top, I would say 5 or 6. I mean, Cooper Flag should be a freshman right now. I mean, DeBonsa and Peterson. I mean, those guys could play in the NBA like right now. They didn't even need to go to college, in my opinion. But outside of those top tier guys that are like potential All NBA guys, then it's like a major drop off, in my opinion. It's not. I forgot what the question was, Fitty. What was the question?
Is the one and done and transfer portal era hurting these guys in the NBA and contributing to the rise of the dominance of international players?
Oh yeah, I don't. I think the NIL and transfers helping those guys that are like bottom first, second. I mean, the Axel kid, he wouldn't have came back 5 years ago. That's helping guys come back. Europeans are just. I think they're more NBA ready because they're doing more development, not playing a bunch of games with AAU, and they're playing against grown men. I mean, I think Luka was playing in the Euro League at like 18, dominating. So like that's hard to score in that league than the NBA. So I don't think the NIL and transfer is hurting one and dones. I think Europeans just have a better developmental system.
Okay. All right. Ryan, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think Luke just hit it right on the head with the developmental piece of it. You just see what also Illinois and Arizona, they have Europeans that are leading their teams. And and I tell you, it's an enjoyable brand of basketball to watch because they share it. They play together. They're making reads off of cuts and just trying to find correct matchups as well. It's fun. It's a fun brand of basketball. And even that's with Illinois they're talking about a lottery guy with Wagler. I think he's maybe a little light, but at the same time, he is a very, very good basketball player because he can handle it. I mean, he's a 6'6", 6'7" point guard. He plays really good defense since the tournament started, and he's gotten a little bit healthy. And just all the European guys, they know how to play the game. They put themselves in good positions to succeed. And yeah, with what Luke said, and then being the proof in the pudding with what Illinois does, just being able to watch them all year long and how they've come and they've grown. And that's just not on the offensive piece. They've improved their defense. And like I said, it's fun brand of basketball.
Okay.
I got an interruption, Fitty.
Yep.
I don't think there's a lot of internationals in the top 20 in this year's draft, but would someone throw 3, 4, 5, 6 million and get a top NBA player like Luka if he was in the next couple of years? Or is he just going to go to the NBA?
Sure. I mean, there's two sides to that. And I'm gonna go to Duncan on this last, but here's my opinion, right? Like, I do think it has hurt the NBA because they're not going in ready. You've seen, and Mike's heard me say this since Giannis won his back-to-back MVPs. No American has finished in the top 2, right? I don't think an American's going to win an NBA MVP for the next 10 years, if not more, because there's no way it's coming in, even Cooper Flag, is going to overtake Joker or Wemby or the Greek Freak or SGA or Luka. I think college basketball has ruined American basketball players because if you're starting a team in the NBA right now, who are you taking? Not an American, a foreigner. So, Duncan, you've coached a lot of guys in hoops, and you've seen a lot of things. I want to hear your opinion on this. Is college basketball ruining American U.S. players in the NBA?
I think college basketball is doing what they have to do to stay alive. They're run by the NCAA. NCAA makes the rules, and we're just following what we're allowed to do. NCAA is trying to stay alive, so as the evolution of their rules, and we're just trying to follow them. I do think our grassroots section and what's perceived to be good for youth, transitioning from youth sports to being collegiate professional type sports hasn't gone probably the best direction. If most kids nowadays are playing more travel basketball games than they are practicing basketball, which I can't, disagree stronger than that. I mean, if all you're doing is just playing and just doing game stuff, like how would you ever get better at a particular skill? And more importantly, is a lot of the guys have trainers that they do work on skills, but not once do they really work on when to do that skill or why to do that skill. And every one of these youth players, not everyone, because that's incorrect, a lot of them solely depend on just probably being a better talented guy than who they're playing against. And it's almost like, well, how far do you think that's going to get you in any sport and anything? Is just, are you just more talented than that guy? When it's a team sport, when you can set screens, you can do different types of screens. You can do a ton of stuff when it's a team sport. So just being better individually talented, especially when you're talking about this, you get to college level, a lot of that stuff goes out the window. It's who wants to play a better brand of basketball. And that's usually where the trouble starts. It seems like on the European side, they're teaching the game of basketball more than they're playing the game of basketball. They're teaching skills of when to do certain things rather than just, this is a move, just go do it. You'll figure out later when you should probably do it or not do it. They're putting emphasis on what is a good shot and what is a bad shot, not just get a shot. That seems like is what's making probably the biggest difference. The second side to that, which somebody already said, is these international guys, they're elite, right? The transfer portal has changed and it has hurt kids, but it's also helped a bunch of kids stay in college longer. And nothing's really wrong with that. They've also been paid to stay in college longer, which is a good thing because some of them are going to make money or a good bit of money playing professional basketball. A lot of these kids make a lot more in college than they'll make playing professional basketball. So that's probably a good thing. The other part to it is a lot of these internationals are playing professional basketball at 13 years old. And that's what some of these people got to understand. This is not new. It's been happening in soccer for 150 years. And now basketball's been doing it for 20 or 30. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh, when did this happen? It's been happening for a long time. Luka had a contract at 12 and 13 years old. You think he's the only one? I mean, there's thousands of them out there. He just was the one that, got better and better and bigger and better. But these guys are playing with grown men, and their youth system is making this an all-day affair at 12, 13, 14 years old. So by the time they get 16, 17, they're just unbelievably ahead. Because at 13 and 14, if you're really, really, really good, you know who you're practicing with? Their top professional team. You're not practicing with the 16-year-old team. If you're really good at 16, you're practicing with their actual tier 1, level 1 professional team. And you can't just be better than that guy and just go crossover, shoot threes, and it's easy. No, you got to figure out how to actually play the game. That's what's probably is missing the most in our grassroots system.
Okay. I appreciate you guys, an honest take on that. So, guys, let's round out the show here, right? When the show airs, we're going to have a couple of days for people to listen to this and then get ready for the Final Four on Easter weekend here on Saturday. Now, what is something all the fans that are listening to this episode, what's the one thing that they should prepare for or take notice of the most this weekend with the Final Four games and on the championship game on Easter Monday? So what's that one thing that you want to point out between these games or whatever it may be that someone should really keep an eye out for? Ryan, let's start with you.
Yeah. It's a great question. Just as a coach watching these games, I'm always looking for the connectedness of the groups and the teams and how close they are. And big reason as to why these 4 teams are here is because they're all connected. They're friends on and off the court, and it all shows. And that's just a big reason why you see these teams having great success. They all get along. And at the same time, they're competitive because they want to win, and that's why they're in the position. So as a fan or just anything, a coach, that I think that'd be something to look for, is how connected those groups are.
Okay. Luke, how about you on this one?
If I was talking to the average public basketball fan, I would note how big these teams are. Arizona and Michigan and Illini are huge because big men cost the most money and they have a lot of money. And that UConn's big and strong. They're not as long and lengthy as these teams, but these these top teams this year are going away from just sort of shooting a ton of threes and spacing it out when you can just go get the biggest big dudes with skill and then not give up anything in the paint. So I would anticipate like this Michigan, Arizona, they're not going to shoot many threes. Illini probably will, but like these guys are humongous on these teams, and I haven't watched a ton of college basketball this year, but when I've tuned in to watch Arizona and Michigan and a little bit of Illini, like these guys are huge, and I haven't seen as many teams this long and lengthy the past few years, it seems like.
Okay. Mike, how about you on this?
I agree with Luke. Like most people don't know how big these guys are, and the NBA players. I mean, they're mammoth human beings, and to watch how they defend, how they get open, how they run offense, and watch the rebounding. You know, it depends how it's officiated, but it's a war on the boards with these guys. Like, and then for years, any college coaches, you get high school coaches, so and so can play for you. He can play Division I. I mean, it's an eye opener to some borderline players. Like, they think they can play on that level, and just watch these two games. You could realize only a select few can play on that level.
Okay. Good point on that, Mike. Duncan, how about you on this?
It's tough to tell like the average basketball fan to the athleticism, the size, the strength. I think to a coaching standpoint is how good their third through ninth man on every team is, and that they're willing to sacrifice their own game 98% for the betterment of the team. Every kid on every one of these teams could get their own shot off every possession, but they're all willing to completely sacrifice, what they probably want. And they're literally all probably millionaires, but they're willing to sacrifice to get to a Final Four and have a chance at a national championship is pretty remarkable in today's age. But all those teams have that. They're all willing to sacrifice for the betterment of the team. And that's what you don't see a lot in today's market.
Okay. Drew, how about you? What's that one thing you want to point out to the people watching this or to take notice of?
One thing I've noticed with this tournament this year than the previous past is how hard these guys were playing. I mean, these games are like battle, like fucking blood's everywhere. I mean, elbows, it's bodies banging. It's intense basketball, and for a average fan just to tune in this weekend, I'd say you're really going to see some really, really intense basketball, and it's joyful to watch.
Sure. And I'm going to throw this out, and we're going to leave it like this, and Mike will get a kick out of this because I always say it. Villanova doesn't win at least the first championship for Jay Wright without the best rebounder in the NBA right now being 6'4" and Josh Hart. He's the best rebounder on that Villanova team. He's the best rebounding guard in the NBA, and he's a top 3 rebounder overall. Mike Worrell's top pick in any NBA expansion draft for the Worrell Warriors is Josh Hart. Just throwing that out there. With that being said, Bob, what's the one thing to look out for during this Final Four weekend?
I think to watch, they were talking about the big guys and how, we said they don't work on their game that much, but some of these big guys can handle the ball really, really well. Some of them could be the point guards on the team. Some of these big guys that play like a Michigan and in Arizona, some of these guys, yeah. And what they'd like to do is they get the ball at the top of the key and then they get that running start and drive to the hoop, and there's no one going to stop them sometimes. So I think to watch these big guys handle the basketball as well as some of the point guards on some of their teams, I think that's something to look at in this games.
Okay, that's a really good point on that one, too. AJ, what's the one thing that everybody should point out, or you like to point out to everyone to watch this weekend?
Maybe basketball IQ, how many turnovers, right? The defense, right? That's always good to watch. You like games to be close, come down to the last minute, who has the ball last, who makes the last shot, because that's what basketball is about. I don't want to see a blowout, you know what I mean? Because then everyone's like, oh, we knew this was going to happen. But close games, just have fun, man. Watch the game, watch the IQ in the passes, right? People getting open, screens, how the plays develop. That's good basketball, right? The cohesiveness of the team, how they move on the floor, right? The pace of the game, who keeps up with who. I'll just let them know that, man. And watching defense, man, I'm always a defensive guy. So we'll see what they do, man, how many blocks they get, man.
Okay. And AJ brought up a really good point there. If you ever want to watch good basketball highlights to see high basketball IQ and really good defense, top NBA steals guy ever, top assist guy ever, check out John Stockton's highlights playing with the mailman Karl Malone and 3 guys out of Bethany Noon Hoops. And he broke all those records with those guys. Check out the legend John Stockton, highest probably basketball IQ ever on his passes. Okay, hot take, Tony. Take us home on this one.
I got to say, Michigan, Arizona, the way they move the ball around, the way they can score seemingly at will, because I don't think Arizona has trailed in this tournament at all. They may have trailed against Arkansas, and I probably wasn't watching at that time because I was working, but just the way they run their offense. And UConn is one of those teams that they're never out. They can be down, but they're never out. As we saw that Sunday was perfect evidence of that. Illinois, defensive team, especially the last 8 minutes of their game. They knuckled down on defense, and you've got some legacies there. You've got Koa Pete, whose dad played in the NFL. He's the youngest of seven kids. He's probably going to be in the league this summer. And you got Andre Stojakovic. His dad was special for the Sacramento Kings. And you got Dusty May's son hit a shot against Tennessee in the Elite Eight late in that ball game. And last but not least, obviously, you got UConn, got that huge shot that was hit with less than a second left. Every single one of these teams fought their tails off to be here. You got so many good teams, so many great stories, but there can only be one champion, and that's going to be determined on Monday.
Hot take, Tony, bringing us home on that one. That's going to do it for this week's episode of the Ride Home Rants podcast as we break down all things Final Four 2026, one of my favorite episodes we do every year. I want to thank the Excellent Eight for being here, not the Elite Eight. We have our own panel of the Excellent Eight. Ryan, Tony, AJ, Duncan, Bob, Luke, Mike, Drew. Thank you guys so much for being here. We appreciate all 8 of you contributing to all these questions and the ones that were specifically for you guys. We can't wait to see what happens in a couple of days after the show airs with the Final Four predictions. As always, if you like the show, be a friend and tell a friend. If you didn't like it, tell them anyways. I bet they like it just because you didn't. This is Fitty signing off, and we will see you next week.
The Ride Home Rants podcast wants to thank you for listening and let everybody know that we do offer monthly subscriptions to help support the show in other ways other than listening and downloading each episode. What you will get with each subscription is you will get bonus episodes that aren't released to everybody. You will also have a chance to ask me anything each and every month where I will put out a special episode just to answer your questions. You will also get more exclusive content that is not released to everybody. To subscribe to the show, go and click on the link in the description of this episode, and I look forward to your added support and to help us keep this show going.